AIA Vitality. Your health is every choice you make. We are part of a global wellness program with over 1.65 million members in AIA across Asia. And in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 members on AIA Vitality. Members live healthier by knowing their health through online health assessments and screenings. They improve their health by logging exercises and enjoying the rewards to keep them going. And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get onto AIA Vitality today because your health is every choice you make.
It's a brand new AIA Singapore Premier League season and we kick off with a blockbuster. Champions League bound Tampines Rovers visit the Sailors of the Lion City, complete with the league's first ever $1 million player. Last season, Aurelio Vidmar tried and failed twice to get the better of Gavin Lee. Can he make it third time lucky tonight? It's the Sailors up against the Stags on the opening weekend of the AIA Singapore Premier League. It's next and it's live. It's hashtag Game On, Bring Back the Raw starts with bringing back the AIA Singapore Premier League. It's the Sailors and the Stags live from a cloudy Jalan Besar Stadium in the heart of Singapore. Just one of a double header of games that gets the season underway. 4 games over the weekend, 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Simultaneously to this, at Jurong East, the champions Albrechts Nagata in action against the cheaters of Hougang United. Then tomorrow, don't forget to join us for another doubleheader as Geylang, AFC Cup-bound Geylang take on Tanjung Pagar United, who've made some very shrewd signings, and the Young Lions take on the Tigers, Marco's men of Balestier Khalsa. It all adds up to a blockbusting opening weekend, and I'm delighted to say we start it here for you live at Jalan Besar. I'm Patrick Kinghorn, alongside a very familiar face to fans of AFC football all across the continent and a former Singapore Premier League player himself. It is Roshan Rai. And Roshan, I know I'm sometimes accused of overhyping, but I've been to see all these Singapore Premier League clubs in our preparation for this at One Play Sports, and there's a renewed energy and vigour. In a perverse way, that COVID-19 interruption midway through last season has actually helped some clubs save money, and to their credit, they've reinvested. A lot of new signings across the league, not just here with the Sailors.
Exactly, and I think that's what we're all sort of looking forward to. It's a renewed optimism about the league, and we want to see these sides come up against each other. Some talented young coaches in the league as well, talented young players coming through. And you mentioned the signings that we've got on display throughout the league. You know, when you think about Doi at Hougang, how he settles with a club like that, and just right across it, you know. So I'm really looking forward to a competitive season this time around.
Yeah, and Geylang have thrown a spanner in the works as well, haven't they, with Silvano. Going to be interesting to see how he goes. But of course, we have to focus on the teams we're dealing with here tonight. The Sailors have a host of new signings. 2 Brazilians that stand out, including the $3 million man, Diego Lopez. And breaking news, folks, I hate to tell you this, both Brazilians miss out today. More to come on that in a minute. Faris Ramley, a familiar face to fans of the Singapore Premier League, is back in the SPL after a stint in Malaysia with Terengganu. He Diz make at least the bench. But they've made quality signings. They have improved the Sailors. As for Tampines, they've obviously had their pockets pinched for the second season straight by the team they played tonight. But Armin Bosniak, who's been plying his trade in Montenegro, he could be a very dark horse. And I'm fascinated to see how Mark Ryan Tan gets on, having been with the Young Lions and showed some glimpses of ability. Will he improve for playing with, no offence to the Young Lions, a slightly stronger squad this season? So when you look across those two raft of signings, who do you think's done the best business?
Well, I mean, you've got to look at Lion City Sailors as a side that's, invested and brought in the big money signings. And I think everyone is really excited and looking forward to seeing Diego Lopez in what would have been his first game of this SPL season. But it's a long season to come. They'll manage their squads. If he's not completely fit, then it doesn't make sense to risk him in the opening match of the season. They've got a lot of planning to do. In terms of Tampines, you look at Bosniak coming in, and he's got a big job in terms of replacing Jordan Webb. I know Gavin has said that, he's not exactly a like-for-like replacement, but perhaps just trying to take that pressure off his shoulders a little bit. But he should show his quality because he's got to add goals and he's got to add chance creation to this Tampines Rovers side because that's what Jordan Webb brought to them. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how Tampines cope without Jordan Webb. I mean, I think Jordan Webb's a great guy, but let's be brutally honest here. He effectively cost them the title with that ridiculous red card against Tanjung Bagar. He's now in Canada. We wish him all the best. But it's life after Jordan now for Tampines Rovers. You've mentioned Diego Lopez. Officially, folks, the word we're getting is that he's got a slight back problem that they don't want to risk on this brand new surface at Jalan Besar. You can see it behind us here. It's a brand new pitch at the Jalan Besar Stadium, and I think the theory is it's going to play quite hard early, so they're not risking him today, which I suppose may raise some eyebrows, bearing in mind it's their home pitch. Faris Ramli does start on the bench. I mean, you've seen him a lot in action, both in Malaysia and here. Tell us a bit about the quality of Faris Ramli.
I mean, he's not going to be a surprise to viewers of Singapore football. And when you look at Faris Ramli, his qualities that he brings, his ability on the ball, he's absolutely brilliant in those one-on-one situations. He takes defenders on. And that not only creates opportunities for himself, it opens up spaces for his teammates as well. So, you can sort of trust him in those attacking areas. He carries that goal-scoring threat as well. So he's not just a player who creates opportunities for you. He's a player who gets into those dangerous areas and also gets the ball in the back of the net. And
here's something that Tampines won't need reminding of. He's done damage to them before, this time in the orange of Hougang. And he's at the point in his career, isn't he, where, he's back in Singapore. I'm sure now this is where he sees himself seeing out his career with this exciting Lion City Sailors project. But again, a surprise he's not up front. I mean, it's not just the shocking team use from the Sailors that really stands out. Stipe Plazibat, the Golden Boot winner, who was injured at the tail end of last season, he starts. But Boris Kapotovic, Big Bad Boris, as I like to call him, he has to make do with a place on the bench. And arguably, I mean, in terms of the contrast of the two teams, that's as big a miss for them as arguably Lopez is for the Sailors. Yeah,
I mean, you take away the fact that, he is that sort of focal point for Tampines in those attacking areas. You can play it into him. He can hold up the ball in those positions. He can get himself into the penalty area and finish up situations like that. So it's going to be interesting to have a look at sort of the setup that Tampines have going here in this game against Lion City Sailors. It looks like they won't exactly have an out-and-out number 9. It looks like they're looking for a bit more mobility perhaps in those forward positions. Perhaps we'll see something like a false 9 in that lineup from Tampines Rovers. I mean, it's intriguing how they're going to attack this game tactically and what Gavin has got lined up for this game against what should be a very strong Lion City Sailors side.
Yeah, I want to turn the spotlight onto Gavin Lee, and we'll do that a little bit later on in our pre-show. Now, I'm looking behind me here and looking to my right. I wasn't being rude to Roshan. The lightning warning system is just to my right here at Jalan Besar, and we have been told, unfortunately, there is a chance it will go on, but not yet. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we get to the action just in time. In the meantime, we build up to what is a great fixture to start with, because the Lion City Sailors started the season last campaign as favourites, and obviously had a disastrous start, including a 4-0 defeat against Tampines Rovers. So the pressure's on Aurelio Vidmar here.
It certainly is. I mean, you mentioned the word project early on, and when you're sort of investing that sort of money into it, there, of course, this expectation and this pressure. Even their own players, Stipe Plazibat has spoken about, it's a title. If they don't win the title, then the season's considered a failure. I think they're everyone's favourites out there, but it's time now to show what they can do on the pitch. Again, I've got to stress that it is a very long season. Things can change. As we come into middle stages, we've got international breaks coming up. We've got AFC Cup, AFC Champions League matches to come in. So it's going to be a really condensed sort of season there. And squad management, rotation is going to be an important part of how these sides get on.
And again, going back to what we said at the top of the show, I think the key is going to be you are going to find more teams. The likes of Tanjung Bagar, obviously finished bottom last season. They're going to cause surprises this year. I mean, I thought they played well under the limited resources. They've made the signings, they've strengthened. I don't think we'll see an unbeaten team this season, certainly.
Well, again, it's about the expectations of teams now that have risen. You know, you're talking about Tanjung Pagar. Absolutely, they're a side that last season struggled. You know, not a win in the league for them. So they'll be hoping to change these things around. The likes of Khairul Amri coming in. I think everyone's excited about seeing him come back into the side. They've also brought in Rishuto and Ishiguchi just to try and add things to their attacking play. So yeah, you know, we talk about the league and we talk about how competitive it's going to be. It almost feels at times like, you know, there's going to be a group of title challengers, then there's going to be that sort of next group, and it's going to be nice and tight for those challenges, for those places to, you know, try to get themselves as high up as on the table as they can. I mean, Hougang as well are another side who have rebuilt themselves in terms of an attacking sense, but defensively you could argue they look a little bit light. So it's going to be interesting, you know, along the year, again, a long season, to see how some of these sides manage the workload of these players, manage the tactical contest from game to game.
And you deal with AFC football in the Cup and the Champions League. I mean, just how much of a burden is it going to be, particularly on a squad like Tampines?
Yep.
I mean, they've got to go and play sides like Gamba Osaka. They don't know where they're playing them yet, but
Yep.
in Gavin Lee's mind, he'll want to make a strong start because he'll know the longer the season goes on, the harder it will be to win points, whereas the Lion City Sailors have got the strength and depth to cope with a congested fixture list that the AFC Cup will bring.
Yeah, again, that's right. You know, you talk about strength and depth, and Lion City Sailors have that. They have that ability to rotate and still maintain a certain level of quality. It's going to be a big challenge for Gavin and Tampines this season. You're absolutely right to mention going and playing in the AFC Champions League is a huge challenge for these players. Physically, it demands a lot. It's a completely different, like 2-3 levels above what they'll probably be used to playing a week in, week out in the SPL. So, you know, it's going to be a learning experience, yes, but, you know, again, that management of the squad throughout the years is going to be nice to watch. It's going to be a new challenge for a young, talented coach like Gavin. I'm sure him and his boys are looking forward to it.
Bringing back the Raw starts here by bringing back the SPL, that great initiative announced by Sports Singapore and the FAS in the week. It's been a long time, 7 years plus, since a Singaporean team lifted the Singaporean Premier League title. I've got a feeling it might happen this year, and you're going to see two of the main contenders in action tonight. Kick-off not too far away. Stay with us. More from Roshan and myself in a couple of moments. Welcome back live to the Jalan Besar Stadium where the stage is set for kickoff in the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League season. I say the stage is set. You're going to have to be patient because I'm told there is a slight delay to kickoff. The latest news is a 6:10 start, which is obviously a 40-minute delay for us. But we're going to plough on and get Roshan's thoughts and build up to the season at large. Of course, we did have some thunderstorms in the area earlier, so a lightning warning system has led to a slightly delayed kickoff. We will be able to actually see the teams coming up, warming up behind us in just a couple of moments. So do stay with us. It's going to be worth the wait, this I can assure you. And Roshan, let's go back and not just talk about the battles on the pitch between the players. I'm going to focus on the battle in the dagger. I'm a huge Gavin Lee fan, and one thing that surprises me is that he's not garnered more positive headlines. I mentioned in the teaser, in the build-up to this game, that he tried last season, Vidmar, to beat Gavin Lee twice and failed. So yeah. Gavin Lee's got the Indian sign over a far more experienced manager. Yeah,
you're right to say that. I think you're quite right to sort of point that out. And I think, you know, people in the coaching circles regard Gavin Lee highly. At 30 years of age to be doing the sort of job that he's done. You know, he's already got a trophy with Tampines. He's already won the cup with them. He's led them to good finishes in the SPL, in the Singapore Premier League. The next step then for him is trying to really sort of challenge and trying to get themselves to that SPL title. That'll be the holy grail for someone like Gavin. But it's going to be difficult for him because of, you know, the investment that's come into this Lion City Sailors side. Whereas for Tampines, when you look at their transfer work in the window in terms of the squad structure going into this year, it tends to look a little bit more at youth and giving younger players an opportunity. So the business model is a little bit different. The way they work is a little bit different. So again, it's going to be another challenge for Gavin Lee to sort of come across. And, you know, if he comes out of this shining, I'd say, you know, he's one of the big names of not just Singapore coaching, but one of the big names of perhaps Southeast Asian and maybe even Asian coaching on that level, because the work that he's done in the time that he's had with Tampines has been outstanding. And of course, Desmond Dong deserves a lot of credit as chairman as well, because let's get this right. Gavin Lee was well thought of, but, you know, working at a very young youth level here in Singapore. And Desmond Dong, I mean, and he'd tell you himself, Desmond, you know, they've not got the money to spend like the Lion City Sailors. And let's put it right as well, if they did have, Gavin probably wouldn't have got the opportunity. So it works both ways, and he's taken the opportunity with both hands. And in contrast, Aurelio Vidmar, you know, he's been around the scene, Bangkok Glass, he was established in Australia. I mean, he comes here with a very high CV, and he talks the right game, seems like a great guy, but the pressure's on him from the get-go here, because their season, forget the AFC Cup, they didn't start last season thinking they were going to qualify for the AFC Cup. They had at worst the slot that Tampines got in the Asian Champions League. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about pressure, let's remember these are guys who want that pressure. They want to be under that pressure. They understand that they want to be at the top of their game. And when you want to win titles, when you want to win things, you can't run away from that. You can't run away from that pressure. It's something that they've got to deal with. So I don't think when you talk about top players, when you talk about top coaches, that's going to be a huge issue for some of these guys. Yes, you know, he's come in, he's had that money to sort of invest into the team. He's going to have a proper pre-season now, should we say, and having a full season with this club to see what he can sort of do. He's spoken about as well, knowing that they are heavy favorites to go on and win the title. But he says, you know, it doesn't always work like that. And we know football isn't played on paper. It's not played on the lineups. It's played out on the pitch. It's what you can do game after game. Consistency levels have got to be maintained. What I will say is what we did see from his side when the season restarted was lots of goals. I think they scored 44 goals in, 14 matches as the season restarted. It's just having to work on that defensive balance, because that's a situation where they sort of just struggle a little bit with. And I'm sure he would have understood that. That's why we saw, you know, him looking to try and revamp a few positions in that defensive lineup, in that squad overall, just to try and get the balance right coming into this season. But Vidmar is a coach that demands intensity. It demands his players that even in those training sessions, you've got to almost train the way you're sort of playing in there. And he brings such a rich history and a rich experience, having great knowledge in this part of the world, having coached in Australia as well, and the qualities that he's bringing. So, you know, he's no slouch. He absolutely isn't. You know you're getting quality with Gavin. And that's what I mean about the SPL this season, in terms of these coaches who are high-quality coaches in my eyes, coming together, different tactical styles a little bit. You know, they both want to try and dominate the opposition. But we'll see variances in their gameplay and questions being asked of each other and how they sort of deal with those tactical issues throughout the season. I mean, you're a student of the game, Matt. I mean, I think we're going to see that, and you'll be great to give us analysis throughout the match, because
the tactical battle and how they utilise the substitutes. I mean, that's something we should mention as well, because, you know, in some leagues in Asia at the moment that have restarted, they're having the water breaks, which you'll get here midway through each half. But the J-League, for example, still 5 substitutes. It's been decided that the AIA Singapore Premier League this season will stick with 3 subs. And clearly, that does negate one of the advantages. If it had been 5 substitutes, I mean, let's look at the Lion City Sailors straight off the bat. One of their strengths last season, Gabriel Quack, for me, was a standout player of the season. Doesn't matter what nationality, he was superb. But you were playing him and they had that luxury of throwing Adam Swandy on, not exactly like for like, but the same kind of player that can do damage, or if you fancied it, playing them together. His options are going to be limited by the fact we're back, and I'm for it, by the way. This 5 subs water breaks, give me a break. It's 3 subs, it's going to level the playing field somewhat.
Yeah, I guess so. But again, when you look at the quality that this can sort of bring on off the bench, you know, it's brilliant.
Yeah, but they've got enough quality to bring 5 on, so at least if they're only bringing 3 of them on, it should help the others a little bit.
No, you're right. You're right to point it out. And again, there's this talk about, you know, if it was 5 substitutes, and, you know, clubs around the world, and it's always sort of saying that, you know, it favors the bigger clubs in terms of the options that they can bring on. So you're right to sort of point that out. And again, everything is sort of stacked in Lion City's Sailors' favor in the sense that, you know, they've got that big squad in there. We see Tampines, you know, warming up with Fazul Nawas leading the warm-up for his players there. But look, it's up to the other clubs to sort of step up to that challenge. We talk about wanting a competitive league. You know, we can look at leagues around the world and say, you know, this club is running away with it, that club is running away with it. That's a challenge that is being posed now to some of these other teams. If you're going to be playing in competitive sport, you got to face up to these things. And, you know, if you're a professional player, you're a professional athlete, and you look at this and you look at the challenge and you say, I'm going to step up with this. I want to play against the best. I want to compete against the best, because, you know, that's the whole point of it. If you don't want to come up against some of the best guys around, some of the best players around, then there's really no point being a professional athlete, is there?
If you're just joining us, by the way, just to update you, great to have you with us on the opening day of the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League season. Inclement weather in the area means we're looking at a 6:10 local time kickoff. So we are going to be slightly delayed on kickoff, but it's great to have Roshan here. We can bring you all the build-up as we would on normal match day as well. Remember, there's another game going on at Jurong East. Albirex in action there. And, of course, we must mention them very quickly, bearing in mind we've got a bit of time spare, because, you know, the general consensus was that was the weakest team that Albirex have fielded that have gone on to win the title. But win the title they did, and ultimately, relatively comfortably. You just never, ever rule them out. They're going to, again, bring in a conveyor belt of new players from Japan, from university and high school level. But they're going to start one of the favourites as well.
And they should do. I mean, it's incredible that, you know, there's a lot of focus on Lion City Sailors, rightly so, but also Albirex Niigata, they are the champions. And at times it almost feels like people are forgetting, you know, almost not giving them that sort of respect that they're going to be there and they're going to be challenging again. Again, they have to sort of renew their roster almost every season with younger players coming through. And there's some interesting talents like Kondo, for example, who was a part of Japan's youth sides growing up. So it's going to be, again, a fascinating season to see how they get on, because tactically they'll be sound, fitness-wise they'll be right up there. They'll be challenging these boys, and it could come down to that come the end of the season. Again, I mentioned fixture congestion later on, mid-season or throughout the year. Albirex don't have to worry about AFC Cup. They don't have to worry about any of those competitions like that. They can mainly focus on the SPL, and that could be enough to give them that advantage. And
year after year, they come here as the fittest side in the division. I don't think that's up for dispute. Don't forget, 4 games coming away this weekend, every single one of them live on Singtel Star Hub across the FAS and Singapore Premier League social media networks, One Play Sports as well. We've got you covered. Wherever you are, you've got no excuse to miss 4 great games coming your way this weekend. But we turn our attention back here. That delayed kickoff is not stopping us from getting amped up and excited about what lies in store. And we've talked in this section of the show about the battle that lies ahead between Gavin Lee and Aurelio Vidmar, and it's great to hear from the horse's mouths, as it were, because a great new addition to our team, Farah Nair. I'm sure you've seen her out and about giving you some great surround content on the Singapore Premier League this season. She's been down speaking to both managers ahead of tonight's matchup, starting with the boss of the red-hot favourites, Lion City Sailors.
I am here with Lion City Sailors head coach Aurelio Vidmar. Aurelio, we couldn't have asked for a bigger opening day clash. But first things first, I heard that both of your Brazilians, Diego and George, will not be starting tonight. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
No, well, they're just not ready. They obviously came 5 or 6 weeks after everyone had started their pre-season, so they're just a little bit behind, but it won't be too far away.
Like you will be up against the runners-up from last year, Tampines Rovers, but you didn't manage to beat them last season. How will you be approaching tonight then?
Well, it's opening game of the season, and I think it'll still be quite cagey because really at the beginning of the season there's only been one friendly game last weekend, so it's a little bit of unknown for everyone. But you know, we're starting the season confident, and hopefully we play to our potential, and then if we do, then we have a good chance of winning.
Like we said, you made your statement of intent with your transfer activity, but how will you be looking to approach tonight then?
Oh, we're trying to win a game. It's a game of football against a very good opponent. So, yeah, we've done as much training as we possibly could through the pre-season. Now we need to start the season.
Do you think that ramps up the pressure on you guys even more tonight?
For me, it's just round one, so it's a long season to go, and you know, we have to live with that because everywhere we go, everyone's going to expect us to just go out there and win. But it just, as I said many times, it just doesn't work that way. We have to play at our best to win.
Thank you, really good luck.
Thank you.
Now I have with me Tampines Rovers head coach Gavin Lee. Gavin, a huge match tonight. You had a pretty good pre-season, but the real test truly starts now, doesn't it? What are your thoughts ahead of tonight?
Yeah, you know, I think it'll be a good game, exciting game, close game between two good teams, and we're just very excited to go out there and play our football.
Now, your opponents tonight have strengthened immensely during the transfer market. So, like, what do you think will be the biggest challenge here for you tonight?
You know, I think the biggest challenge, like every other game that we play, it's ourselves, and just to stay focused, maintain our thinking, and stick to what we know best, which is to play our football.
And finally, we are so incredibly excited to watch you and your side play in the AFC Champions League this season. Last season, you just missed out on the league title. Would you say one is more important than the other? You have your focus like on one more than the other?
Yeah. The league is always the most important, and that's our main focus. It's a privilege to play in the Champions League, but it's not going to happen till June. So all attention on the SPL.
All right, Gavin, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Very disappointed not to hear Gavin Lee talking about the double. What's wrong with the Singapore Premier League and the AFC Champions League? But in all seriousness, I mean, listen, let's be brutally honest about this. This is a huge step up the Singaporean teams playing in the AFC Champions League, but it can only be good in the long term. I mean, you work on those AFC competitions. The fact they're now going to be playing the likes of Gamba Osaka, some of the top teams in China, it's only going to help the players, particularly the young ones, when we talk about bring back the roar. It's only a positive, right? Even though the results might be ugly to start with.
It's going to be absolutely brilliant. I mean, I played in the AFC Champions League myself with the Singapore Armed Forces FC in 2010. It was outstanding. What an experience it was. And again, you go back to, being a professional athlete, being a professional footballer. You go away to some of these venues, you're playing in front of full houses, full crowds. You can't hear your teammate who's standing 5 meters away from you on the pitch. I remember going away to Henan, playing against Henan Jianye in our first game, coming away somehow with a draw, some outstanding goalkeeping by Sharil Jantan. We got a bit lucky as well, Hafiz Osman with a handball clearance off the line. Thankfully, there was no VAR back then, so we got away with a point. Ended up beating them here as well. And I mean, you mentioned Gamba Osaka. We played against Gamba Osaka and Suwon Samsung Blue Wings as well. What a learning experience it is going to be. But learning aside, you also want to sort of show what you can do in these situations. And, people are watching. Scouts are here. They will be watching these games. It's going to be broadcast, these matches across Asia. So what an opportunity it is for some of these players to step up a level and show everyone what they can sort of do on the bigger stage.
And that's a very good point because, of course, we've just seen, got to congratulate him as well, by the way. Irfan Fani lift the T1 title with BG Patum in Thailand. And listen, I mean, I look at Jacob Marler last season for the Young Lions. He, to me, has got the same kind of progress chart ahead of him as an Irfan Fani. And you're right, it's going to put some of these youngsters in the shop window. I mean, I don't want to rattle on about bring back the roar, but this is what it's about. We need to get Singaporean players noticed and follow that trajectory like Irfan. Irfan Fani, for me, is probably the most improved player in the Thai league. Never mind he's Singaporean, and we need to try and get other players on that trajectory.
You look, there's so much, you're absolutely right to bring up that point. There's so much exposure now. We're seeing all these games as we look through the lineup here, Patrick. I mean, Adam Swandi in there who come in as a replacement. You got Justin Hui, a young Justin Hui, being given an opportunity with this Sailors side as well. I mean, you look at this team. Nur Adam Abdullah, again another player, a young man who's coming in, and again going to be given that sort of opportunity going through. But there's plenty of quality and talent in there. The leadership of Hassan Sani at the back in those positions. Tajali is a very good player, perhaps a little bit underrated at times. You got Shadan controlling things in the center of the park with his ball distribution and his passing game. Then, of course, the league's top scorer, Stipe Plazibat, in there with 14 goals last season, 18 in total, with 4 in the AFC Cup last year. I mean, hopefully they can keep him injury-free, because he'll be a big boost to the side.
Yeah, that hamstring injury was frustrating him so much towards the end of last season. He was desperate to play to get the goals that would secure him the Golden Boot. As it turned out, he didn't have to worry. He won it anyway. What I like about Stipe Plazibat, he's proved it already in Singapore. Doesn't matter whether he's playing with the best team in the country or one of the teams that's maybe a rung down.
Yep.
He scores goals. He's just one of those Alan Shearer type players. You put him in a position, he's going to score goals from very difficult positions. So that's the Lion City lineup. And of course, you saw Jalan there, who was pinched, if you like. Tampines had their pocket pinched at the start of last season, but in came Shah Shahiran to fill that gap, and again, a bit underrated like Tajeli. He did a magnificent job there, and while obviously Boris Kapotovic is a big miss, and the experience of Daniel Bennett potentially from the bench if they need to shore up late, they have got quality there, and I'm hearing good things. We won't know until we've seen him in action, but I'm hearing good things from the camp about Armin.
Yeah, look, again, we touched on earlier about how he was brought in to essentially provide goals and assists and sort of replace what Jordan Webb, in terms of the output, brought in into this side. And looking forward to seeing what he can do, playing in Montenegro and then Kosovo as well. So, he's got to show what he can bring to this Tampines Rovers team. I've seen that he's got a lot of quality and talent in terms of his speed, in terms of his directional changes, starting from a wider position, but perhaps drifting in. So when you look at that lineup, again, there's no sort of out-and-out number 9 with Kapetovic on the bench. But look, it could be a situation where you've got Mark Ryan Tan in one of those attacking positions. Perhaps they're playing with a false 9 in that system, a bit more mobility in that forward line. Mark Ryan Tan as well. Again, another sort of outstanding young talent that lots has been spoken about him. When I was doing my AFCB license, I actually took a session where he was one of the participants, and it was a finishing drill, and he was quality in that finishing drill, and outstanding attitude as well in those very short moments that I had with him.
We've had the Fan dynasty. Maybe it's time for a Tan dynasty. I'm just looking across. I'm being told, unfortunately, the lightning warning system has gone off again, and you can see great shot from our brilliant production team. The storm clouds gathering, which is frustrating. But listen. Something like this is worth waiting for, so do bear with us. And of course, we go back to those lineups. And what strikes me is, we were speaking before the broadcast, the half of football, there was 2 halves of football that stood out for me last year. Tampines turning it round against Alborex, and that second half in this fixture last season at our Tampines hub, when it was 0-0 at half-time. Sogoyong hit the post for the Sailors in the first half, and then whatever Gavin Lee puts in the half-time oranges, I want some of it, because just like they did against Albrecht later in the campaign, they came out 4-0, blew the Lion City Sailors away, made them look mediocre. And bearing in mind that the 2 Brazilians, of course, the $3 million man Lopez doesn't start, do you think Tampines will be pleased that they're having, on paper, their hardest game of the season away here, that they're getting it out the way in the first game before the Lion City Sailors are in full stride?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, again, that's going to be sort of important, or it's going to have an impact, because, as the coaches have mentioned, it's just the first game of the season. And they haven't had enough in terms of their preseason preparation, in terms of the matches. So building up that match fitness and that match sharpness is going to take a little bit of time. So we might see the tempo at times dropping a little bit in this game. But still, the technical quality that these players have on display should be really good. But you're right to point out that Tampines will look at this and they'll think, yeah, tough opening game. But we get this out of the way, we see what we can do. There should be no fear. Yes, there will be respect, but there should be no fear, because Tampines are a side as well, under Gavin, who know that they can impose their own style of play on the opposition. So, it should be a keenly contested match, this one, between these two sides.
Looking forward to it. Kick-off, the last we heard was 6:10. It's just gone 5:30 local time. We will keep you up to date. But listen, stay with us, because, again, it's not hyperbole. I tell you the truth. And we all have a bitch and a moan about football and the Singapore Premier League. But this is our league. It's our duty to embrace it. And I am telling you, it is a fact. And Roshan will back me up. And if you think I'm getting it wrong, you tell me. The squads this season are gearing up for what is the most competitive season through the 8 teams that we have seen in many a year. It's been 7 long years since a Singaporean team won the SPL, and wouldn't it be a great way to start this Bring Back the Roar initiative, that tide is finally turned, and we've got 2 contenders tonight on display? Yeah,
we certainly do, and you're absolutely right to point out the fact that this is our own league. I mean, a large part of it, there's a lot of admiration for leagues elsewhere, and I can understand it. It's viewer's choice. You pick whatever you want. But at the same time, a lot of these guys, some of these guys are your neighbors. Yep. Some of them you went to school with. Some of them, you've played football with, perhaps, at your, for your school teams or at your neighborhood street soccer courts or things like that. So there is that element of community. These are our people. These are our boys. They're playing. So it would be fantastic for us to give that level of respect, that level of interest to some of these players, because they are technically professional athletes, our only professional league. They are the best that we have at the moment, and they're out here week in, week out, training day in, day out, giving it their all. So some of the football that is being played as well, I think if people give it an opportunity and actually looked at it, you'll see how good some of these sides actually are. In terms of the styles of play, it's changed as well through the years. It's not a situation where teams are now going, just from back to front. Nothing wrong with that. That works for you tactically, it's fine. But there's also a variation in terms of, the passing out from the back, wanting to play that short passing game, being composed under pressure in those situations, in those one-on-ones. You see the technical ability of some of the players coming through as well. And this game here between these two sides should be a perfect example of that, the technical quality that we have on display here, and two title challenges, as you mentioned.
I mean, you struggle to find a bigger cynic than me, but when I watched that press conference about Bring Back the Roar, and we've seen that the government are going to put their money where their mouth is, and, it's got the right intentions. We've talked about how wonderfully Irfan's done in Thailand. To go from the bottom up, we're talking about getting more youngsters playing football. Those figures that were talked about were wonderful to hear, that there'll be more people encouraged to play football, because we live in a different world to as we did when the Singapore Premier League, or SPL as it was, the S-League as it was then, was initiated. So we're making the initiatives, and I'm telling you, there are positive signs on the horizon. We've talked about Gavin Lee. You just, never mind 2034, and I'll ask you this, Roshan, as a devout Singapore fan. Put your mind 2 years down the track with Gavin Lee as a coach, Irfan Fandi. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of Irfan Fandi this year. One of the best players, not biased because he's Singaporean, in the Thai League. Jacob Marler, when he gets his national service out the way. That centre-back pairing of Jacob Marler and Irfan Fandi. We've got, of course, Iksan is doing great things abroad as well. There is reasons for positivity.
Yeah, there certainly is. And, the thing is, in my work with the AFC, I go on and speak to some of the best coaches in Asia. And then whenever we talk about Singapore football, they always say, sometimes people in Singapore perhaps don't appreciate or realize actually the amount of talent that we have in our Singapore national team. They point out the likes of Haris Harun, a known quantity, Safwan Barudin, the names that you mentioned, Irfan, doing well in Thailand, and perhaps an opportunity to even go abroad to maybe a higher tier Asian league, like maybe the J League. I know there were rumors about that. So we do have the players here capable of doing it, and we're showing it in World Cup qualifying, third in our group at the moment, behind Uzbekistan and Saudi Arabia. I was here for the game against Palestine, and stadium was sold out, which is a credit to the fans for coming out and supporting the team. And the atmosphere was absolutely electric. I know Yoshida spoke about how perhaps tactically it wasn't the best of games, but the spirit, the intensity, the desire that they showed in that match was what he was looking for, and it was fantastic. And now that we've got a coach like Yoshida in there, with his experience, with his qualities, and with the players that he has, hopefully we'll start to see the side push on and move forward.
And again, listen, it's easy to criticise. I've done it myself, and it's not easy either to argue with those criticisms. But when something like this is announced, we all need to come together. And of course, we can't come into the grounds yet because of COVID-19, but the production plan, the FAS and the partners have put in place to bring you every game live across Singtel Star Hub, the owned AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page and OnePay Sports means we're going to give you access to the games, better coverage than ever before. The teams will be featured, the players will be featured on social media. So I'm asking you personally to give this league a chance for the 2 or 3 months, or hopefully shorter than it will be, before we can get the fans back into the stadium, and then give it a go once more. I'm sure Roshan's in agreement with that. Right, lightning warning system in effect here. Last we heard 6:10. The good news is we're going to give you all the best build-up to tonight's big game as the AIA Singapore Premier League 2021 gets underway here with the Lion City Sailors against Tampines Rovers. It's coming live, I promise you, just not quite yet.
AIA Vitality. Your health is every choice you make. We are part of a global wellness program with over 1.65 million members in AIA across Asia. And in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 members on AIA Vitality. Members live healthier by knowing their health through online health assessments and screenings. They improve their health by logging exercises and enjoying the rewards to keep them going. And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge, with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get onto AIA Vitality today, because your health is every choice you make.
Welcome back live to the Jalan Besar Stadium on the opening weekend of the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League season. I know, lightning warning system, be patient. We've all been here before. Roshan Rai alongside me for the coverage this season. Roshan, you must have been in this position, so give us an insight into what the players are feeling now. They've been out to warm up, in, out, shake it all about, and they're still like us. We were told 6:10, looks like it may be a little later now. What's going through the players' mind?
Yeah, we've had a bumper build-up, haven't we? On the show, we've been building up since 5, and for the players, you know, they've come out, they've done their warm-ups, they've gone back in, you're cooling down again. So it's a situation where there's just a lot of waiting. You know, you're on your phones, perhaps, you know, looking at, going on social media, trying to kill a bit of time. There's not really too much you can do. I mean, what you've done, what the coaches have said, all they can say in the moments, in the situations. You don't want to be in there repeating your message, constantly. So just let the players be for a little bit. You know, try to maintain your focus. Of course, there'll be that aspect to it, but it's difficult, right? You're waiting a long time. There's not really a sort of an update of when you're going to be coming out again, warming up again, and then preparing for kickoff in that match. So it can be a little bit challenging, but you know, that's the way it is. And just as I've been in those situations, these players will have been in similar situations as well. So it's not something that's new to them completely.
My advice to you is this: cancel those dinner plans, get the food sent in, whether you're watching us on Singtel, StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League social media channels, or One Play Sports. It is going to be worth the wait, and we'll continue to work on this build-up. We'll hear more from Roshan. I'm hoping that the chairman of Tampines Rovers, Desmond Dong, is going to join us up in the presentation position as well. But while we wait for Desmond's arrival, let's have a look at one of the main players for tonight. He may only be on the bench, but Faris Ramli is back on home shores, and we'll be hearing from him shortly with Farinair, which I'm looking forward to, because Faris Ramli, his arrivals kind of got lost in the furore about the Brazilians, but he might prove to be a very able secret weapon.
He certainly will be. I mean, he's a player that I'm a huge fan of, that I've obviously watched over the last few years or so, and he's a known quantity, isn't he? I mean, everyone knows about Faris Ramli and the quality he brings, and we touched on him a little bit earlier on as well about his strengths in those one-on-ones, his quality in the dribble, the fact that he occupies defenders and creates spaces for his teammates as well. So he brings these qualities to whatever squad he's playing in. And, you know, he doesn't just create chances, he also gets himself into good goal-scoring positions, as we're going to see here when he was playing with Hougang. I mean, you just look at it here, stands up the defender, takes his time, lovely little step over, and then a brilliant finish into the top corner in that situation. So if you sort of give him that time and space to go out and exploit, you're in deep, deep trouble. And, you know, he's gone and played in Malaysia as well in his career. Here he is getting himself in the penalty area on the left-hand side with a lovely little finish. So provides them with fantastic options in those attacking areas, wonderful qualities, and an incredibly talented player. And at times, I remember watching him with the Singapore national side as well, playing almost as that false nine. And surprisingly, even though for his size, he's actually pretty decent in the air.
You can see behind us, by the way, I think you can just about make out that Tampines back up, warming up, which is good news. I'm taking that as a very good sign. Let's take this opportunity, actually, for those that are joining us late. It's been a while since we showed them. Let's remind you of the starting lineups for tonight's two teams of the Lion City Sailors and Tampines Rovers, because if you are joining us, we've already seen Farah down pitch side speaking to Aurelio Vidmar and Gavin Lee, and the big news from a Lion City Sailors perspective is the two Brazilians, including the $3 million man Lopez, do not feature in the matchday squad. We're told that Lopez has a slight back concern, which means he's not being risked on what essentially is the Lion City Sailors' home surface this season, so that's a concern. But as Roshan was telling us early, Rosh, there's so much quality in there, and I just love that Gabriel Quack, Adam Swandy, you know, that old 1-2, play them together, substitute one for the other. It just gives them so many options. I mean, look at that bench. The bench is almost as impressive as the starting lineup.
Yeah, again, it's just about managing the workload of these players throughout the season and giving opportunities to everyone and keeping things fresh and making sure they can still maintain a certain level of quality. Some of the obvious names to look out for: Stipe Plazibat with his goal-scoring prowess. There's Song Woo-yong, who's just brilliant from central midfield, making those late runs into the box. Great technical quality. Jalan Sulaiman, as we're seeing there, leading the warm-up with his passing range, with his ability to dictate the tempo. And Saifullah Akbar, who's who was very impressive last season for this Sailor side.
Let's have a look at the Tampines Rovers lineup. We've just seen the Lion City Sailors, so let's show you the Tampines Rovers lineup as well, because they've got some big team news as well, and that's bad for them, because Boris Kapitovic, I might try and get the information out of Desong on this, but Big Bad Boris, only good enough, fit enough, one assumes, not good enough for a spot on the bench. But their big signing, again, under the radar compared to all the Lion City Sailor marquees, Armin is in the starting lineup. Fascinated to see what he can do, and it is a strong side for the Stags.
It is. I mean, Yase Hanapi is, again, a player with plenty of experience and great quality. Kyoga Nakamura in at number 8. wonderful on the ball, almost that pressing resistant sort of player, and it allows Tampines to have that platform and that ability to build out from the back in the sense that you can give it to him. He can receive it under pressure, open up the pitch for you. But looking at Bosniak there in the warm-up, I'm interested to see how he gets on here. You know, they've lost the goals and the chance creation on Jordan Webb. I'd like to see how Bosniak does in his first game in the SPL.
Well, we'll get some special insight to that shortly, because Desmond Ong, the chairman of Tampines, is going to join us. And I'm told, I hope I'm recalling this story correctly, I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong, that he actually played against Boris, I think it was, back home. And Boris said, well, this guy's quite good. Why don't you go for him? And they got him. Interesting times. Now, we'll talk about Tampines with Desmond Ong in just a couple of moments, the chairman. But before we get to Desmond, let's give you an insight into how Faris Ramley is feeling. He's now a sailor back in Singapore with the favourites for the SPL title. He's been speaking to our very own Fariner.
One of Singapore's biggest prospects of this generation, Faris Ramley needs no introduction. Making his way back across the causeway, the winger will now don the blue and whites of the Lion City Sailors for the 2021 season.
Hi Faris, thanks for taking the time and spending it with us. So we want to take it way back. Talk to us about when you first started playing football.
Okay, that was when I was still, I think I'm a late bloomer, I can say. I started off under Voidec. We were just playing, me, my cousin, my friends, my good friends and all. And one of a guy, just came along and saw us under Voidec. He was none other than our ex-baller, Samawira Basri. He saw me and he told me to come training. I went back and asked my parents about it, and that's where I feel like I think I want to become a football player, and that's where I think my aim starts there, my career starts there.
Nice. So you spent last year with Terengganu in the Malaysian Super League. How would you describe your time there?
Can say it was a roller coaster ride. 2020 season was just up and down. It makes me kind of grow. In a sense where as a football player and also as a person outside, it's just a journey for me, and I think that is what I wanted to take when I came back to Singapore, and in terms of like being disciplined off and on the field.
So 4 years after you left the then Home United, was it an easy decision for you to come back to the Lion City Sailors?
To be honest, no. It was totally not an easy decision for me to come back, and I still have offers from Malaysia. That's why I say it was quite a tough decision for me to make. At the end of the day, it's because of my family, my wife and my son. I just decided to stay in Singapore for a while, and I think Sailors came, talked to me about the big projects that really like tuned me in, and I really like pressure. I really like this kind of things, and to look forward into it. I just can't wait to prepare myself with Sailors.
On paper, you sound like the team to beat. You have the likes of Stipe Plazibat, and now you've added to your firepower with the 2 Brazilians, and of course they brought you back. But do you think that you're the biggest threat this season?
I wouldn't say we are the biggest threat, but I can say that I think everyone, like I said, the signings that we had, everyone has their eyes on us, but we're just gonna stick and focus on our team, and I think that's what Coach Aurelio wants to do, and I think he has big plans up on his sleeves, and the players are just raring to go and to listen to his instruction, and we take game by game.
Speaking of Aurelio, how is he like as a coach?
Yeah, last year I saw him on TV and everyone, so he was quite fierce coach, I can see. But when I get to know him, actually he's a very genuine guy. He's one of the coach that dare to do this kind of formation, to go forward and to take risks. And that's what I've been waiting for, And I'm also an attacker, so I guess this is the type of play that we want, and this is the modern football nowadays. And I just can't wait to see what else he has for us.
Now, before we end, is there anything you would like to say to the Sailors fans out there?
Yeah, of course. I would like to say to them that be patient with us. We've only just begun, and I guess we'll try to win, take some silverware out this year for you guys. I think you guys have been waiting it for quite a while right now, and I hope that you guys are happy with the signings that we had and the team right now. And we just can't wait to get you guys back and cheer us at the stadium.
It's incredible how youthful Faris Ramley still looks. Great work from our very own Farah Nair there, and we'll be seeing, I'm sure, Faris Ramley in action throughout the course of tonight. He does start on the bench for his new club, the Lion City Sailors. Local time here, don't know where you're watching around the world, just gone 5 minutes past 6 in the evening, and I'm told the revised kickoff time, because unfortunately of the inclement weather and the lightning warning system, is 6:40, 20 to 7. Great to be with Roshan, who's given us some wonderful insight. He's taken a sit down to gather his thoughts ahead of his stint on co-commentary alongside myself, but we've been lucky and blessed to be joined by the chairman of Tampines Rovers, Desmond Dong. And Des, I mean, we've been building this up, and this is not hyperbole. I think it is the most exciting season for some time. Yes, we can't have fans in yet, but on paper, all the teams seem to have strengthened. Obviously, the Sailors are getting their headlines, but as a chairman, as someone that's passionate about football, you must be delighted with how the build-up to this has gone as well.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Pat. I mean, the build-up, like you say, the teams, the way they've strengthened, it's really exciting. I mean, as a neutral, this is probably the most we've had to look forward to since the league started.
I mean, you think Tanjung Pagar United didn't win a game last season, but they've made some signings now, and they were competitive in most of their games. I mean, you know that only too well.
I agree.
They essentially cost you the title with that.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks. Thank you.
But yeah, so I think we're going to see teams, even the Tanjung Pagars, the Galangs, the Haugangs, they'll be taking points off you. I mean, I'm sure you hope not. They'll be taking points off the Sailors. Albrechts aren't going to have a possession this year. It's as competitive as I can remember it, even though it's only 8 teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. All right. It's not just a case of taking points off the usual fancy teams. I think in and of themselves, a few of them might make a run for the title as well. So we're not going to take anything for granted this season for sure.
And there'll be teams that think, well, I'm sure you're looking forward to the AFC Champions League, which I think now is slated for June, July. Obviously, the Sailors and Galang have the AFC Cup. So there's teams that haven't got those commitments will be looking and saying, well, if we map out our season right, we can use that to our advantage.
Clearly. As you know, for us, qualifying for the Champions League has been a big thing. And I'd be lying if I say it wasn't at the forefront of our minds in terms of our preparation. Right? Clearly, the league is bread and butter, and we haven't won it for a while. And that's where most of our focus is. But it's hard not to get excited by the prospect of playing the Champions League.
Now we're looking at your boys warming up here. Tell us about this. I mean, obviously, everyone's going on Diego Lopez. We've seen Faris Ramley. But your marquee signing, and I use the word marquee advisedly because obviously he's very tidy for you to have signed him. But not many people know much about him. Tell us about this Armin and how he came to become a Stag.
Okay, so actually we've watched Armin for 2 years. And we were actually looking to sign him, not this season, but the previous season. And it was a sort of toss-up between him and Boris, or in fact both of them. But Jordan, wanted to spend yet another year with us. And we decided that for the moment, at least last year, we would keep Joe on for another year. So Armin's sort of been in cold storage. He's a player we know. We've kept in touch with him even during this year where he's not played for us. So we're hoping that he produces at least to the same level that Boris has for us.
And I think you telling me, or maybe Gavin was telling me, that he actually played against Boris domestically, so they're aware of each other?
Yeah, but surprisingly, they've never spoken to each other.
But they played against each other?
They have played against each other.
And so he did say to you, oh, he's all right, bring him in.
No, there's a lot of mutual respect. To be fair, a lot of our scouting back in the Balkans is done by Farah. And Farah's done a sterling job in terms of the players that he's brought over, not just in terms of ability, but in terms of them as people and players who can actually fit into the system and the way we want to do things at Tampines.
Now, obviously, we've been blessed, or cursed, I suppose some might say, with this extra long build-up pre-show. And we mentioned right at the top of the show about Gavin Lee in this matchup, Vidmar against Lee. Gavin got the better of him effectively twice last season. Vidmar unable to get the better of Gav Lee. You have to take the credit. I mean, I'm sure if you had lots of money to spend and you were bringing in marquee players, Gavin might not have got the opportunity. But you took that bold step to give a relatively unknown 30-year-old the chance to coach. He's obviously repaid you by getting to the Champions League. But let's now take this out of Tampines and into this Bring Back the Raw. We've seen Irfan Fandi win the Thai League. Most improved player in Thailand for me. I was so impressed with Jacob Marler last season. Young players coming through. And in Gavin Lee, when you talk about Bring Back the Raw and these plans that will always have cynics, you must be, as you know, I know you're a Liverpool fan, my condolences for that at the moment, but you must be someone that's now seeing light at the end of the tunnel. So it's important we get behind this initiative, and it starts with getting behind the Singapore Premier League.
Again, I couldn't agree more. If today had been an open game in regular times, I bet you Jalan Besar would have been filled.
Yeah, I think
The
you're right.
amount of excitement and people who have stopped me outside on the street saying, can we get a ticket? Can we get a ticket? Can we come in? The interest in this game has been incredible. In terms of what has been done in the recent days about bringing back the Raw, unleash the Raw, etc., etc., I think the important thing to perhaps note is that we should try and be united behind it. For too long, people have been too skeptical, and everybody's a naysayer in
Yeah,
some
and
way.
I think you didn't. I mean, I've already admitted to that openly. I think you don't have to hold your hands up and say yes. There's been times when you've been frustrated, but I think now you have to draw a line under it and say the government are putting the money in. You know, we've got a competitive league. There's signs of light with the likes of Gavin, a young man, potentially future manager of the national team, Irfan, Jacob Marler. There's many more, Mark Ryan Tan, another youngster you've signed. There are signs of positivity here. We've got to be positive.
Yep. I would agree most of that, except the bit about Gavin. I'm not going to heap any unnecessary pressure on Gavin. I mean, Gavin's doing a good enough job for us, but he's still got a long way to go, and he's still got a lot to learn. And credit to the boy, he turns up at 7 a.m. every morning on non-game days, and he leaves the office no earlier than 7 p.m. He puts the hours in. It's his vocation. And you'd be hard-pressed to not think highly of someone who puts that much effort into his job.
Okay, which leads me now. We're talking about $3 million a lot, so I'll give you a $3 million question. Twice last season, Vidmar tried to beat Gavin Lee. The Status tried to beat the Stags, couldn't do it. What is your big map prediction for the game, which will start, I promise you now, in just under half an hour's time? What are you going for? Correct score prediction from you.
Okay, I'm going to sidestep that slightly. I don't think it's fair to pit this as Vidmar against Gavin. I think Vidmar has enough credentials to show that he's been a good coach, and it's going to take some time for the players to adapt to his style.
Okay, you can sidestep that, but what's your match prediction? You can't sidestep that one. You get one free pass and you've just used it.
I think it's going to be cagey. I think both teams are going to sit back a bit and find out how each other are playing. We've prepared on the basis this week that the foreigners weren't playing anyway. Right.
So you guessed right there.
Yeah, I mean, given what we heard coming out of their camp about their difficulties with the yo-yo test and so on and so forth, and they might just be a bit undercooked at the moment. But cliched as it may sound, it's going to be a long season for them and for us, and there are going to be a lot of games to play. And I don't think a defeat for either team at this stage is necessarily going to prove fatal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the prediction? What's the score?
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think the one goal might just nick it either way.
Yeah, but very important. Low-scoring game, but very exciting. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be well worth watching this tactical masterclass between two of the top managers in the league, yeah?
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Well, you certainly won't be going anywhere, will you? You're going to be glued to your seat down there.
Well, to be fair, I mean, as a Singaporean, I'm very excited by some of the talent that you see on the young Lions. I beg your pardon, the Lion Cities side even, right? Hassan Sani, we know the quality he has made in Tampines. Shadan Sulaiman, the quality he has made in Tampines. Saifullah Akbar, the quality he has made in Tampines. Amirul Adli, the quality he has made in Tampines. Are you getting the gist of it?
Yeah, I'm getting the gist. You think they keep picking your pockets?
I didn't say that, mate. You said it.
Okay.
But there are enough players for the national coach to sit up and be interested in what's going on pitch this evening. And there's going to be a lot of our best talent on show tonight. So may the best team win.
Des, many thanks for joining us indeed. So kick-off now is what? Just over 20 minutes away. We're counting down. Desmond Dong, the chairman of Tampines Rovers, will be getting his seat down. And he's right, you know, the next time this game is played here, you probably won't be able to buy a ticket. So for now, you've got the best seat in the house live on Singtel StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page and One Pace Sports. Stay with us. More build-up and kick-off coming soon.
And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge, with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get on to AIA Vitality today, because your health is every choice you make.
It's a brand new AIA Singapore Premier League season, and we kick off with a blockbuster. Champions League bound Tampines Rovers visit the Sailors of the Lion City, complete with the league's first ever $1 million player. Last season, Aurelio Vidmar tried and failed twice to get the better of Gavin Lee. Can he make it third time lucky tonight? It's the Sailors up against the Stags on the opening weekend of the AIA Singapore Premier League. It's next, and it's live.
Welcome back live to the Jalan Besar Stadium. It's going to be worth the wait, I promise you. A little later than the advertised time. It's kick-off in the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League season. Sailors Stags, it's live on Singtel Star Hub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports as well. Roshan Rai and myself have been part of the biggest pre-show for any football match played anywhere in the world, but it's been great to have Roshan's insight here. And Roshan, speaking of insight, we've already talked about the effect the delay might have on the players, but for those people that are just joining us, I'd love you to talk us through the signings that these two teams have made in the close season. We went over it earlier, but it's worth paying attention to again, because they've both made interesting incomings, and in Tampines' case, an interesting outgoing as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the names on there, Faris Ramli is the one that really stands out for me from a local talent perspective. You know, wonderful qualities, a known quantity. We've touched on him a little bit earlier on. Some of these young players in there as well, Justin Hui and Nur Adam Abdullah. Then, of course, we can't forget to mention Diego Lopez. What is it, about 3 million Singapore dollars he's come in from Rio Ave. At the peak of his career, you like to think as well, 26 years of age. Doesn't quite make the squad for this match. But look, it's a long season. I'm sure we'll get to see his talents at some point.
And of course, Tampines Rovers themselves have been busy-ish in the transfer market, not on the scale of the Lion City Sailors, but Armin is their man that they're expecting to help pull the strings in midfield and fill that gap left by the departure. And despite what he did against Tanja Bagal last season, it is a loss of Jordan Webb.
It certainly is. And again, I've touched on Armin Bosniak and the qualities that he needs to bring to this Tampines Rovers side. I've seen a bit of him in certain moments, very quick with how he moves the ball, can play out on the left, shift it in onto his right foot, can even play as a false nine perhaps. And you know, when you look at some of those names there as well, the names that stick out, Irfan Najib for me is a very talented young central defender. Mark Ryan Tan is another exciting talent to keep an eye out on. He'll get an opportunity right from the start in this game. So what a big test it is for him. What a big opportunity for some of these players coming on.
It was very difficult earlier to get predictions from anyone, but time to put you on the spot. Ooh. You're paid the big bucks, Roshan Rai. What is going to be the score on opening day? Hashtag game on between the Sailors and the Stags here at Jalan Besar.
I feel like I need to sit on the fence a little bit here. You know, opening game of the season, there's always a risk that it might be a little bit cagey. You know, always concerned about the sharpness and the fitness of the players coming in. Still looking for that match fitness, match sharpness. But let's hope for goals. I mean, we've waited long enough.
Yeah, come on.
Let's hope for a 2-all draw.
2-2. I'm going to keep track of your predictions through the season. 2-2, says Roshan Rai. Let us know in the comment section if you're watching online what you think the scoreline is going to be. One thing's for sure, this is the most competitive AIA Singapore Premier League season, I think, for decades. You talk about Tanja Bagal last season finishing bottom. They strengthened and they weren't rolled over by too many teams last campaign. The Young Lions always do a good job in unearthing young talent. Geylang have improved. Haag having improved. Albrechts will always be there. We're in for a cracking season.
Well, we certainly are. I mean, you talk about the competitiveness of the league, some of the teams and the quality that they have, you know, coming into the season, the players that they've brought in. And that's something that, you know, we've looked at early on in the show as well. And we've touched on the fact that this could be such a interesting season because of the styles of play on display as well from some of these sides. You know, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. You know, Hougang, as you mentioned, with a revamping of their squad, Tomoyuki Doi coming into that attacking lineup that they've got over there. Shari Lishak moving over there from the Lion City Sailors, and you know, we've just hit on Lion City Sailors and Tampines Rovers and the changes that they've made to their squads. Tanjung Pagar as well, you know, last season finishing bottom of the table, bringing in the likes of Khairul Amri into the squad. Nishiguchi, Blake Rashuto, who was excellent for DPMM a few seasons ago. And, you know, they'll be hoping to do a lot better. Geylang with Silvano Convalius coming into the squad, being that focal point, that target man, that big striker, that number 9 that they've been looking for a while. So plenty of talent to look forward to this season in the SPL. And look, these two sides coming out here. I mean, we've spoken about new signings, but what about some of the players that have been here, have been performing all this while in Singapore? You're talking about the likes of Shadan Sulaiman with his quality and ability in central midfield. Song Ui-yong, who has been outstanding for Lion City Sailors and for Home United before that. Just with his goals and quality from midfield. Gabriel as well. He had a great season last time out, 9 assists and 5 goals. Stipe Plazibat, top scorer last season. Could go on and on. Kyoga Nakamura, just got wonderful technical quality out on display on the park here today, and it's going to be a real treat for the viewers at home.
So our match officials leading the teams out, led out by one of the best in the business. Jansen Fu will be the man in the middle here this afternoon with that distinctive bald pate. Not that I'm one to talk, but Jansen Fu is ready as the anthem strikes up. And finally, it's going to be worth the wait, folks, with the time ticking round to 20 to 7 in the evening, local time this Saturday night in Singapore. The kickoff of the 2021 AIA Singapore Premier League season is with us. The Sailors coming out first, led by their skipper, Hassan Sunny, of course, a mainstay of the national team. We won't see the Brazilians today. We'll confirm that for you in a minute, but we might see Faris Ramley off the bench. And in Stipe Plazibat, as Roshan's already said, they have probably the most natural goal scorer in the league. Would you second that, Roshan?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, look, there's some really good finishers in the league at the moment. Doi is another one whose quality in and around the box, in the penalty area. But Stipe Plazibat, I mean, just his consistency in this league year on year, with initially with Home United, with Hougang, now with the Lion City Sailors last season in there as well, scoring 9 goals for them, 14 overall in the league, another 4 in the AFC Cup last year before that competition was discontinued. Look, he's incredible finisher, yes, but he also brings his teammates into play in those forward positions.
A reminder, 3 substitutes allowed. There'll be water breaks midway through each half. And the tactics will come into play because not just the players on the pitch going toe-to-toe. Aurelio Vidmar, a coach who comes with continental quality against Gavin Lee. He'll be pitting his wits against the continent's best in the Champions League later on in the season. But for now, as Gavin said earlier on when he spoke to Fariner, his focus is all on trying to go one better than last season when the Stags were runners-up. And of course, on that occasion, they finished above the Lion City Sailors and took 4 points off them in 2 games. The 2 skippers about to meet in the middle for the toss. Jansen Fu, assisted by Ronnie Koh, Jay Ashokraj and Mohamed Taufik Tana, who'll be the 4th official. Thank goodness there's no VAR in the Singapore Premier League. That's what I can say. Bring back the rule by all means, but don't bring VAR on these shores. Hassan Sunny lining up against Yasir Hanapi, the long-time skipper of the Stags. And they'll pose for the pre-match photos as we can check out the team lineups. Talk us through the Lion City Sailors. Obviously, the 2 Brazilians are the biggest absentees there. We'll have to wait a while longer for Diego Lopez, but quality abounds throughout.
Plenty of quality in that lineup. I really like Amirul, obviously coming up against his former club here, playing in perhaps a central defensive role alongside Tajeli. Tajeli, for me, doesn't get enough credit for the qualities that he brings to this Lion City Sailors side. One of the underrated players in the league. You look at this Tampines Rovers lineup, Yasir Hanapi, brilliant, Mr. Consistency year on year in the league. Kyoga Nakamura, as I mentioned, just his technical quality in those areas. Mehmedovic as well is another one. Really good midfielders on the ball. Boris Kopitovic, I think perhaps that's a big surprise for us being on the substitutes bench here, but it's an opportunity to change things up for them a little bit later on if they feel the need to.
Well, listen, the Boris being on the bench thing, as Aurelio Vidmar is taking his seat in the dugout, a bit like the absence of the Brazilians, the motto being seemingly from the 2 coaches, it's a long, hard season. They've both got continental football to worry about it. It's all very well saying that. They will know 3 points here is a dream start. I genuinely don't think we'll be seeing either side settle for a draw if the game's there to be won in the final quarter.
No, I don't think so. But having said that, again, it is really a very long season. There's lots of football to go, lots of planning, lots of squad management, lots of workload to manage there. As you see, Gavin Lee, a really talented young coach, and you know, he's proven his worth with Tampines. He's already picked up a bit of silverware for them.
Now, I know Lion City Sailors have got a lot of money, but have they actually paid for an organ to be in the stadium? For you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Their motto is all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck for you watching at home live on Singtel Star Hub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports across social media as well. The long wait is over. We bring back the Raw, starting with bringing back the SPL on the most competitive looking division that the season has seen in many a year. It'll be the Lion City Sailors in their white and blue shorts playing from left to right. Tampines Rovers in their black playing from right to left. Can you pick who's going to come out on top last season? It was 1-1 when the teams met at Besar, which was then a home game for the Sailors in the latter half of last season. And Aurelio Vidmar's yet to get the better of Gavin Lee. An early touch for Hassan Sunny. And an early whistle for Jansen Fu with the first foul being committed on Zayrudin, who scored twice in the 2 games that these 2 teams played each other in last season, Roshan.
Yeah, I mean, again, looking at his quality there, the Jelly just very early on looking to just make sure he knows he's there. Bit of a disagreement between that 2 early on, but Tajeli just putting his foot in early on.
The surface, obviously an artificial surface, looks magnificent. It was relayed as part of the extensive redevelopment of Jalan Besar, more inside the corridors of power than on the pitch, but one thing that's come of it is a pristine playing service, which you hope will see some exciting football. Trying to play it out from the back of the Sailors with a touch for Tajeli, one of the men to watch from Roshan Rai earlier on, and a very slow tempo early. It's been touched upon in the build-up, Roshan. Neither side able to play a raft of pre-season friendlies. I think each side basically managed 1 apiece, so cramp may become a factor and maybe not explosive from the start, we don't think.
Well, when you look at Tampines' lineup off the ball early on, it looks like they're setting up in a 4-4-2, pretty high block. You know, you've got that defensive line close to the halfway point of the pitch, and you're seeing Yasser up front alongside Mehmedovic when they are out of possession. Instructions very quickly to go out and press whenever Lion City Sailors are looking to try and play out.
Yeah, so Jansen Fu's whistle has been quite busy early on in this. But that's not a reoccurring theme as the throw goes the way of Tampines Rovers. And of course, Faris Ramley and Boris Kopinovic on the bench means that there could be plenty of ebbs and flows in this one. Unfortunately, no news yet of a start at Jurong East, where Albrechts are also in action tonight, the defending champions.
I was just having a look at the Sailors, how they're setting up here, also looking to just try and get themselves squeezing Tampines in their own defensive third there.
Touch for Madhu. He's one of the characters of Singapore football. Not accustomed really to a starting role for much of last season, but he's got the start in the first game of the campaign. As both these sides, I think there's a feeding out process going here, and it'll be interesting to see who tries to get adventurous first.
Yeah, also just does look like 4-4-2 for the Sailors off the ball.
Stipe Plazabat with the ball at feet facing goals, always a worrying threat, but they managed to break it down quite quickly. Over the top, looking for the run of Armin, the new boy, who looks to me to be playing in a more advanced role than he would necessarily if Boris was playing. I think that's probably a very fair assessment. More known really as an attacking midfield player. It looks almost like he's going to be playing that front man role, which can sometimes, if you're not getting much possession, be a very lonely place, Roshan.
Yeah, it certainly can, and that's why it's key to get that support into you as soon as they can. If they're going to be playing these longer balls, as Gabriel sends an early cross in, they don't quite have runners in front of him. Stipe just holding his position on the edge of the box. It's Saifullah, looks like Saifullah and Stipe just in that front 2 out of possession. So Saifullah will be given a bit of license to roam when they are in possession of the ball. Just looking to wreak a bit of havoc in front of that Tampines defence.
I'll tell you what, Shazwan, this game could have been played with no floodlights at 1 in the morning and you'd still be able to pick out Shazwan with that pink kit. My word, it's the pinkest goalkeeping kit I've ever seen. The Stags trying to play it out with Zarudin Mehmedovic. And again, it's end-to-end stuff, but not in the exciting manner that we perhaps were hoping in the first 4 minutes. But it's only going to take one moment of brilliance or one moment of skill to open this up. Now, trying to dink it out from the back is Amarul. Given some time around the halfway line there, and that's a peach of a ball if it finds its target, and find its target it has. It's come all the way to Heikel. Now cutting inside, looking up for options. Nice 1-2 play by Gabriel Quack, laid wide by Plazibat. This is danger! And the breakthrough is made inside 5 minutes. The early goal this game so badly needed. And it's a scoring start for Song Yong, who scores the first goal of the AIA Singapore Premier League 2021 season. And I hate to say it, Roshan Rai, that looked oh too easy.
Well, the build-up play here was brilliant from Lion City Sailors. Just have a look at Noor Adam. He's being invited to drift inside. Gabriel Kwok, as I touched on, starting his position out wider, but then moving infield. Just look at the numbers that they have in those central positions, occupying those spaces there, overloading that Tampines defense. They're all over the place. And then you've got Heikel with a late run, providing that option for Stipe Plazibat, and then Song Yong with his run from midfield. Nice little finish in the end. Great start for the Lion City Sailors. Good tempo to their opening 5-6 minutes of this match or so.
Assist from Michael. Goal from Song Yong, and it could get a lot worse a lot quickly. Gabriel Quack, it's two! Goodness gracious me, they scored twice in 60 seconds! And the millionaire boys of the Lion City Sailors are making a statement early here. The Stags in utter disarray. Gabriel Quack walked through them like a knife through butter and slided it past Shazwan. What a start for the Sailors.
Incredible start from the Lion City Sailors. Again, that space just to drive into Gabriel there. Pushing on, that defense is backing off because he's got runners ahead of him. Have a look at Shaifullah's run, taking away by Haki. You've got Stipe taking away Madhu. That midfield from Tampines not being able to drop in quick enough. Shah and Nakamura there. And he just beats the goalkeeper at the near post.
Well, talk about a statement early. Gabriel Quack, who topped the assist charts in last year's Singapore Premier League and chipped in with 5 goals as well. He's got his first goal of the season. Now, is there going to be a response straight away here from Yasir? He just lost the ball under his feet as it looked like it was opening up in front of him. Well, I was a little bit panicked after the first 3 minutes, Rosh, and I thought this might be a dull and dour affair, but scratch that. Business has picked up very quickly here at Jalan Besar, and Tampines need a response quickly here, Roshan, don't they? They need to get back into it, but similarly, at 3-0, the game would be over. It
certainly would, and they smell blood at the moment, the Sailors, and they're going for it. And this is what you get. You look at the tempo that they've started at, the intensity that they're moving the ball around, the players are moving off the ball as well, providing options in those areas. Tampines just look really caught off guard.
Saifullah ended up losing out there, is trying to play it out from the back, and it's backfired, and that's left space on the far side for Stipe Plazibat. His assist-making is an often underlooked part of his game as well. He really is so versatile up top, even though he's got the look of that traditional big man, and this has opened up for a potential chance. I'm not sure Shardan realised there was some empty space in front of him there, and the chance is gone. Nakamura playing it out. Now they spread it wide. This is more like it, but they need support up top because at the moment Armin's all on his own and the reinforcements aren't exactly arriving quickly. Armin, now they've got Yasir trying to get into the middle, but the chance has gone, and that was a concern for me, Roshan. They didn't show much support.
Yeah, this is that's a bit of an issue for them, Tampines Rovers, because those opportunities in those counter-attacking situations, first of all, was really good work by Nakamura. Just as that attacking move from the Sailors broke down, he was allowed to carry it forward through that midfield, and then a quick switch out to that left-hand side into Bosniak, but there wasn't enough support arriving. It was too slow to arrive.
Here they come again, though. This is more like it from Tampines. Yasir with a 1-2. They get into the area. Narrow angle for Zayrud, and he couldn't get the shot away, but at least there's been a response from the Stags.
Yeah, you just feel they need to settle down a little bit, get a bit of possession, get a bit of time on the ball in these situations, looking a little bit shell-shocked.
Gabriel Quack, who is for me the player of the season last year by a street, looking lively early, but it was made far too easy for him the way it opened up in front of him. Remember, if if you're a Lion City Sailor, and I'm sure Aurelia Vidmar, bearing in mind what happened to them at our Tampines hub, well, probably not far off, a year ago when they lost 4-0 after that second half hammering. They need to send the kind of statement tonight that the Stags sent that night at OTH when they were framing themselves as the big challengers to Albirex Niigata. And remember, this is all without the two Brazilian signings. If you're just joining us, unfortunately, Diego Lopez unable, the $3 million signing, to make the matchday squad today. Remains to be seen whether we see him on Wednesday. That's a good ball over the top. Gabriel Quack's got pace. Manu! Well, I think Manu took a gamble there, Roshan, but I think it's a gamble that was worth taking because he was in a bit of bother pace-wise, and even though it looked dangerous, I think he knew what he was doing, chipping it over his own
Look, they're
bar.
seriously getting overloaded here, Tampines Rovers. You look at the runs from midfield there, you had two options to hit. Baihaki gets dragged into the center of the park, following Stipe Plazibat's run into that area. And then you've got Song Ui-yong and Gabriel in there, making late runs, opportunities. Madhu Mohana getting caught in the 2-on-1. Thankfully for Tampines, he was able to get his foot onto that ball there.
It's the first corner of the season at Jalan Besar. And let's see what they're like at set pieces. I'm sure this is something that Aurelia Vidmar's been working hard on the training ground. It's the former Stag Jalan to take it. Headed away, only as far as the edge of the area, but the flag was up. And there'll be a free kick to allow Tampines to alleviate the pressure. But 10 minutes in, 2 goals already. It's living up to its billing to this point. What would interest me is if Tampines could get a goal and get right back into this. They've got Boris to call upon on the bench. Remember, of course, the Sailors with Faris Ramley, a familiar face to many fans of Singapore football. He's on the bench for the Lion City Sailors tonight. But having seen what Gabriel Quack's done to this side early, the thought of maybe Quack and Adam Swandy together in the second half would, you'd fill Tampines Rovers fans with dread, never mind the players.
Here it is for Tampines. As they're trying to build, you see their left back, Irwan Shah, just moving into a central position, just to give them a bit more of an option in those central areas. We did see a little bit of that from Tampines last season as well. It is a bit of a pattern for them. What it also does is it gives them a passing option straight out to Bosniak down this left-hand side. There we go, Irwan Shah making a run into a central position there, leaving that space for Bosniak to work with, but almost a situation where he was outnumbered 2-on-1.
Nice work from Armin though, and they've managed to spread it over to that right-hand side with Armin approaching in the middle. Yassir is there as well. Armin's in a bit of space if they can find him. They cut inside, they get it to Armin eventually. His first touch is slightly heavy, but he still manages to go round. Now, can he deliver across? There are floor black shirts waiting in the penalty area. They're going to at least try and win a corner here. Well, that's well worked defensively, and I think, oh no, is that a foul drawn? It is, so they'll get an opportunity. For those of you familiar with hockey, it's almost going to be like a short corner or a penalty corner here. They don't like the decision, the Sailors. What did you make of that?
I think he knows what he's doing there, Shah, in that situation. He just understands that he's isolated a little bit. He's not getting the support. He's not really going anywhere, so it's very smart just to try and draw that foul, draw that free kick. It's good play.
Now, two of the big threats for Tampines in these situations, Boris Kapitovic and Daniel Bennett, are only on the bench, but Baihaki certainly got height, and bearing in mind he's been part of a lackluster first 5 minutes defensively for the Stags. He'd be going some way to redeeming himself. He can get on the end of this. Cross comes in. It's a decent delivery, but Hassan Sunny claims it well. It was there to be attacked, but the keeper dominated the 6-yard box.
Yeah, in the air long enough. Good, confident goalkeeping from Hassan Sunny there. He'll give his side a bit of a boost. I mean, not that he really needs to prove anything with his experience and his quality in that position.
It's a quality individual, Hassan. We talked in the pre-show about Irfan Fandi winning the league in Thailand. Of course, Hassan Sunny taken to Army United by the former England international Gary Stevens. That helped develop him as a footballer tremendously. As the flag stays down here, it does. Stipe Plazibat was onside according to the assistant referee, and they found Gabriel Quack in space once more. Alarm bells ringing for the Stags. It's to be 3-0 if they find the perfect pass. But momentarily, the chance has gone. I'd be interested to look back on that offside against Stipe Plazibat that wasn't. It looked too good to be true, and when it tends to look too good to be true, it usually is. But the flag stayed down and nothing came of it, so... But we're already seeing, Roshan, you've alluded to it, when they come forward, the Sailors, there's options galore. When the Stags come forward, they're almost desperately waiting for the support to be arrived.
Yeah, you can see the difference in intensity at the moment, just how quickly the Lion City Sailors moving forward as a team. There is support arriving, there's options for the player on the ball in those positions, whereas we saw earlier in that counter-attacking area with Bosniak, just a little bit isolated. Support was a little bit too slow to arrive. Yasir Hanapi takes a bit of contact there, but doesn't get the free kick.
Yeah, it looked like a trip. There wasn't too many full-hearted appeals. And Yasir's not one of the shy ones, is he? He tends to make his feelings known. But he was closer to the action, so maybe it wasn't at the end of the world. That's something for Zairida Mehmedovic to chase down, and he's put a bit of pressure on Tajeli. Yasir Hanapi now, oh, that was a little bit naughty. I think in the second half, that might have got Yasir Hanapi a booking, but early on, Jansen Fu erring on the side of cautions. Did he have a little go at the back?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
dangerous. I thought I saw that in real time. He's very fortunate. That's right under the referee's nose as well. I think second half, that's a booking all day long.
Studs into the calf of Jalan there, who showed good quality on the ball.
They've won the ball here well, Tampines. Shah gets it out to Zairudin. They're coming back into this game slowly, Tampines. Zairudin Mehmedovic, he scored twice against the Sailors last season, and he finds the ball into Yasir Hanapi, who was onside but just couldn't get the purchase. And I wonder in hindsight whether, if you're Zairudin Mehmedovic in that situation, you don't pull the trigger, Roshan.
Well, you just have a look at the space that opens up for him here. Tajeli's backing off, looking to protect that space. And then you've got a run of Nakamura, also taking Nakyudin out. He could have had a crack at goal, I think, Mehmedovic, in that situation. Certainly has the ability and the technical quality to hit them from range.
But right up the other end, and look at the space the Sailors find with Heikel over on that far side. Fascinating game, this, because, again, I might be getting ahead of myself, but I'm not entirely sure on the evidence of what we've seen with the understrength Tampines that the defensive issues the Sailors have had have been completely solved. Very early on, I might end up with egg on my face as they pick up a clean sheet later on, but I'm just getting that feeling, and that, I think, Stipe catching Zairudin. Still plenty of goals in this game, I fancy. All those naysayers that thought we might get a drab 0-0 draw with both teams settling for a point, but that's out the window inside 5 minutes, inside 4 minutes, really. What are you thinking of Armin early on? First chance to look at him in action, Roshan.
Yeah, he's looking lively early on. I mean, they're always looking for him, and here he is once again right through the middle.
Oh, very nearly got there. They might get it out wide, but I think having seen Armin go down, they settled for the throw. But there's space opening up for both teams. It's exciting, high-octane stuff, and some of the individual skills we're seeing on display, we've seen already some from Armin, from Zairudin, and of course from Gabriel Quack. I'm interested, and I'm liking what we're seeing through the first 16.5 minutes of the season, Roshan.
Yeah, I'm certainly enjoying it too. I mean, you got those 2 goals early on. Fantastic quality by the Sailors, and then Tampines now working their way back into this game.
Into the area, Yasir Hanapi lays it off, shot comes in, blocked back to Yasir, into the area, they want handball! They're absolutely screaming for a penalty, but Jansen Fu's unmoved. Zairudin is screaming at the assistant referee on the far side, who you'd think would have to help the referee in that situation, but nothing giving. Armin. Ball is plucked out the air by Hassan Sunny. Let's have a look at this if you can and dissect this. Was there a shout for a penalty?
Yeah.
Was it a pen?
Yeah, look, immediately I thought you're going to have to give it here because his arm's up away from his body. It's in an unnatural position. That's a penalty for me. I would have given the penalty 100%. They've gotten away with that one. Tajeli, have a look at this again. That touch, yeah, it's a clear handball.
Back to the live action, and Tampines coming forward once again. That's at least, I think, going to give them some encouragement. They've managed to penetrate this Lion City Sailors defence early on. Sure, the Sailors are going to be sharp coming forward, but there's signs of life in Tampines, even though they've effectively given the Sailors a 2-goal start here.
That's so much better from Tampines Rovers, and we touched on this early on. Shell-shocked, looking shell-shocked after that quick start from Lion City Sailors. They just needed a spell of possession, and they started to grow into the game, and they're starting to apply lots of pressure there.
Yasir, perfect for a right foot of this. They swing this in to the edge of the 6-yard box, and there's the penalty shout again. Roshan Rice told you he thinks it was a penalty. Jansen Fu was there, wasn't given. Yasir, decent delivery! And Hassan Sunny had to get something to that. I think it was bending in, Roshan.
What a game of football we've got here, Patrick. I mean, we picked it up. We had a huge pre-match show, about an hour and a half or so. I mean, have a look at the quality on this one there. Hassan Sunny almost gets caught underneath it. Just does enough to squeeze it over the line.
I think that was drifting in, wasn't it? What it has led to is the first corner for Tampines to try and penetrate. Now, look at the big boys up from the back. Bai Haki is there for the set piece. There's plenty of height in Armin as well. So, Tampines, can they get back into this inside 20 minutes? Another shout! And they're back in business! Madu with the goal! It's Sailors 2, Stags won, and boy oh boy, is this curtain raiser living up to the bidding here at Jalan Besar. Roshan Wright.
Well, I asked for goals and we're getting them thick and fast. 3 goals in the opening 19 minutes of this game. They were shouting for another handball there, but Madhu plays on, never mind. Puts it in the back of the net, no drama. And they're back in this one, Tampines Rovers. What a game we've got here, Patrick King on.
Well, we've learned already what we knew from last season. The Sailors are muster going forward and very questionable at the back. I'm sure you could say the same, to be fair, of Tampines Rovers, bearing in mind the 2 goals they conceded. But what it is giving us, Roshan, is open, attractive football, goals galore, and something for everyone at home to get their teeth into.
Listen, if you've been waiting at home patiently for this game to kick off, you've been rewarded big time with some excellent football on display here. Great goals as well. And a game is back on. I mean, look at this. And it's Tampines on the front foot this time.
They gave away a 2-goal start, remember. It was oh so easy for the Sailors in the 5th and 6th minutes when Song Woo-Yong and Gabriel Crack made it 1 and 2-0. But Tampines, that goal had been coming, hadn't it?
Well, they're feeling a lot better about themselves. Back into this match as well. And you're feeling a bit hard done by perhaps at not getting that penalty. Didn't let it affect them though. So good character to pull one back and back in it now.
Well, Hassan Sunny beaten for the first time this season. Plays it short again. You're a football scientist, so you're going to poo-poo me here. I'm not a fan of those short goal kicks. It's one of my pet hates, the short goal kicks that now. And look what's happened here. They've invited Tampines forward again, but the pass doesn't find any black shirts near it in the area, and they should be able to play it out with Naikudin. When we finally get a respite in the action, Roshan, I want to hear your thoughts on those short goal kicks at now de rigueur. That's if we get a break in the action. Yasser Hanapi, lovely footwork from Armin, who's impressing. It's all Tampines now. They didn't get a kick for the first 5 minutes, but from about the quarter of an hour mark, they've been knocking on the door. They've got 1 goal back, and you wouldn't bet against them the way things are going. Being all square by half-time, Nakamura, the string puller in the middle of the park, getting it back to Baihaki. Nakamura looking up. Yasser. He's dispossessed, and of course this is the danger as they come forward trying to equalise. They could be caught out of the back. And Stipe Plazabat inadvertently handling that, I think. But yes, quick word from you on those short goal kicks, Roshan.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there are obviously purposes to it. You want to try and draw out the press. You want to draw the opposition towards you. And then there'll be opportunities in behind that you can go and try and look at exploit. Of course, you know, in any situation, you're taking a risk. I'll come back to that as we see Mark Ryan Tan in this position here.
Yeah, Mark Brian Tan, once with the Young Lions, now with the Stags, and he does very well indeed there. Can he reach this before it goes out? He's screaming that there was a touch off a Sailor. That falls on deaf ears from the assistant referee over on that far side. And again, Mark Ryan Tan's been part of this improved showing from Tampines in the last 10 minutes, and I think we're getting already to see that he's capable of much more than he showed at the Young Lions, even though he showed glimpses there when he's playing with stronger players around him. Not stronger, I think more developed, more experienced team unit around him.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And, you know, it's a benefit to him as well in his career that he's getting, he's going to be getting a lot of this game time for Tampines Rovers. He's working with some of more experienced players, as you mentioned. And no doubt, I mean, the quality of the teammates he's surrounded by as well goes up. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Very talented young player. He's got his head on right as well. Good attitude. Always wants to learn. And when you've got that, and when you sort of marry that with the talent that he has, he's you know, he's got the ability to become a big player for Singapore football in the future.
Nice one-touch football from Gabriel Quack. Finds it to the near side. And come down the right now. Space opening up for Saifullah. And it's Shazwan's turn to grasp something out of the air. See, Naikudin's not shy of getting forward at every opportunity. Incredible. First 3 minutes. Be honest with me, Roshan. I'm sitting actually the first 3 minutes. We've had to give this game 90 minutes of build-up because of the delay. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, what have we done here? It was a bit tepid. It was a bit slow. It was a bit low intensity. But the early goals, I mean, they say sometimes goals make a game early on. And that's definitely the case here, isn't it? Because one thing's for certain. We've got half of the first half to go with a drinks break on the way. And then the second half. There's going to be more twists and turns in this, I fancy. Yeah,
you'd think so. And to be fair, I thought Lion City Sailors actually, their intensity at the start was spot on. It was Tampines that looked a little bit slow off the blocks, and you know, it showed in the scoreline. They were able to absolutely punish this Tampines Rovers side. who've taken a bit of time to get going, but the momentum has shifted, and here they are.
They've given it away again. Here come the Stags. Mark Brian Tan, he's got support on the overlap. So Rudin, he went on his own. And it did take a deflection. They'll at least get a corner out of it, and they'll take the drinks break just before the corner. So this is almost like NBA basketball. Timeout just before you have to defend a set piece. I'm not sure Radio Vidmar or Gavin Lee, or a combination of both, will like that. Now, I must apologise. Obviously, very frustrating when we have slight streaming issues. If you are experiencing streaming issues, I can only apologise. One bit of advice I can give you is so many platforms carrying these games this season. Singtel, StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, One Play Sports as well. So do bear with us. I do apologise if there's a slight lag on the stream. We're doing our best behind the scenes to try and remedy it, but I do hope you haven't missed much of the action, because it's been absorbing stuff, Roshan Wright.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, we picked this game up, two sides with lots of quality, and the technical quality has been excellent, but also the intensity that they're playing at has been brilliant to watch. Very quick, both squeezing the line, squeezing the units together, very compact in terms of their shape. Certain situations, which sounds strange to say when you look at the fact that there's been 3 goals in the opening 20 minutes or so of this game. But they're both trying to apply high pressure on each other. They're trying to force the issue and trying to force mistakes from the opposition.
And again, let's not kid ourselves, a very unconventional pre-season as we see that magnificent branding that the Sailors have installed over on that far side. I'm assuming someone's got to fold that up tomorrow, because the Young Lions are playing it tomorrow. They can't leave that up tomorrow. But yeah, I think the fact that the pre-season's been a bit stop-start, not many pre-season games, fitness might be an issue. There's going to be mistakes that creep in as well. I mean, we think it's not been perfect so far. Second stanza, some of those fresh legs off the bench like Boris, like Faris Ramley, could absolutely have a field day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that we will see a dip in tempo at some point. You know, you can't keep playing at this intensity so early on as well. I mentioned the fact that match fitness and match sharpness is going to be something that might take a bit of time to build, as you see Yase getting ready to take this corner.
Yeah, a mercifully short water break. Yase Henapik and Tampines level it up from this set piece. Hassan Sunny's come. He's a great puncher of the ball. Hassan Sunny got plenty of distance in there, and as an added bonus, found a white shirt. Now, how many numbers have the Sailors committed forward here? Not that many, but there's not many Stags back either. And that's a lovely first touch that's opening him up. Gabriel Crack is screaming for it on the right. They play it through the middle. Flag stays down, and it's over the bar. Gilt-edged opportunity for Song Il-yong, I think it was. And he skied it, Roshan.
I'll tell you what, that was great play by Saifullah, though. I mean, I thought the pass was on to Stipe down the left-hand side, but he just waited, he waited. You see the support that arrives. You've got Gabriel down the right-hand side as well. That back line from Tampines, Shahiran, I think it was, playing Song Il-yong onside there. He's got all the time in the world. In the end, he just gets caught underneath it.
I tell you what, that's a coach's nightmare, isn't it, when your back line is standing still with the arms raised up in the air when the play's still going on around them. It's the first rule of football show business, isn't it? Play to the whistle. They were teaching you that when you were still in nappies, weren't they, Roshan?
Yeah, that's always the first thing you get taught. The first thing you get shouted at you when you're on the pitch is play to the whistle when you don't get decisions going your way. But it was good work by Saifullah once again, you know, taking his time to pick the right pass into Song, and he should have absolutely buried that. Had Gabriel in acres of space on the right-hand side as well, which on hindsight, I think he'd be looking back at it thinking, yeah, I should have played him in.
Well, if you're just joining us, and if you are just joining us, I'm not sure why, because if the game had kicked off on time, it'd nearly be finished. But if you're just joining us, you're in for a treat over the next hour and a half or so. The news from Jalan Besar on the opening day of the season so far. 2 goals in the first 6 minutes. 1 on 4 minutes from Song Il-yong. A second from Gabriel Quack. Seconds later gave the Sailors an early advantage, and they looked like they were going to run riot, but Tampines have done brilliantly to get back into it, and Madhu from a set piece after they've been denied what looked a stonewall penalty has made it very much game on here. Well watched by Bahaki, but he's only managed to find the Lion City Sailors shirt, and here they come again. Lovely outside of the foot pass from Song Il-yong. They're in again for number 3. Stipe flushes his lines, and then Gabriel Crack blazes it wide. They should have it 3-1 there, Roshan Rai. Another great opportunity goes begging. Yeah, it's Stipe with the opportunity that he should be putting away. Again, what a swift flowing move here. This is from the Lion City Sailors. Song Il-yong with a peach of a pass with the outside foot. When you look at him there, he's got his hands on his head. He knows he should be doing better in that situation. Again, Haikal
that outlet down the left-hand side.
Yeah, Gabriel Crack as well. I mean, if you're going to give Stipe a pass, I suppose that if the ball was just not in front of him, he almost had to check his run, which probably led to him blazing it over. But the chances have been created here. I'm just looking at the shot count. Bizarrely, on the stats I've got in front of me, Tampines have had more shots on goal than the Lion City Sailors in this game so far. It doesn't feel like it. But as we approach the half-hour mark, all hands are on deck for both the Sailors and Tampines here.
I touched on the compactness defensively. We haven't seen it there in those transitional moments. But the compactness from Lion City Sailors in both these moments, in both those phases of attack and defense, have been really good.
Heavy touch. Mike Union will be disappointed in himself there, but again, that attacking brand of football that they've been playing. Look how far forward Naikudin's getting up in those situations. He's not afraid to almost play as an attacking midfielder at times, even though he's going to be charged with taking care of the defence.
Well, for Naikudin, in that right back position, his role will be pretty straightforward, with Gabriel, of course, being given that license to drift in field onto his left foot, to drift in field, to create numbers in those central areas.
Moving it quickly, Armin again. He's looking lively, this Armin, isn't he? They're frightened to go near him. Armin to the byline. Can he try and win a corner or look for support? Looks like it's going to be the latter. Now he goes back the other way. They're giving him plenty of respect. It doesn't come off on that occasion. As I'm being told, incidentally, well, it's going to be a bumper night for AIA Singapore Premier League fans. Kick-off at Jurong East is now set for 7:30 as Albrechts take on Hougang in the other Saturday night game. Reminder, tomorrow, Young Lions take on Balestier here. And I'll be looking forward to going to our Tampines hub where Geylang take on Tanjung Pagar. Really looking forward to seeing the Jaguars this season because they've made some interesting signings. They've got a great little coaching set up there. No Adam Shah obviously putting some strings behind the scenes. And for all that they were, didn't win a game last season, there's signs of life in them with a couple of signings. You think they might, one of the strength and depth of some of the others, but their first 11 will give plenty of good teams things to worry about this season, Roshan.
Well, certainly the expectation for them this season would be to do a lot better than they did last time out, which isn't going to be that hard considering they didn't win a game.
I know, but the thing about that, Roshan, and you're quite right to point it out, but they weren't being beaten. They lost a couple of games heavily, but no more than one or two, and they were competitive. I mean, just ask Tampines about that. They essentially cost Tampines the title.
In some games they were. Consistency was very difficult, but you can understand that. I mean, there was sort of a squad that was kind of patched together. They've had a bit more time this season. I am, just like you, looking forward to seeing how they get on, especially with the strengthening that they've done. They've brought in experience. We've touched on the likes of Cairo Lamri, Nishiguchi earlier on, Rishuto as well to help them out in central midfield. So we'll see how they get on this season.
Tampines looking much more comfortable on the ball now by Haki involved in the build-up. It's left for Yassir by Armin. To the near side it comes now. Looking to get the cross in Irwan. Armin, narrow angle deflection and into the side netting. Business is picking up here, folks. If I had to put you on the spot on what you're seeing, who do you think is most likely to get the next goal, Roshan?
Oof, I mean, in terms of
6 to 1, half a dozen to the other.
The possession that they've got, yeah, I think actually Hassan Sani is thinking there's going to be a cross that's coming in, and I think that's what Bosniak was trying to do. He just takes a heavy deflection on its way towards the near post there.
Yassir's corner. Madu was up there again. He's already got one. Armin wins it really well in the air. It's headed away by Stipe. Up back, helping his defence, and a rather risky backward header does pay off as Hassan Sani can gather. And they try to release it quickly. This was a hallmark of their play last season. Hassan Sani releasing quickly and setting them up on counter-attacks from set pieces. And they're into the area again. Sliding challenges, you've got to be very careful. My word, they were dicing with danger there, weren't they, Tampines?
Expertly done by Song Yong, I think, initially, just to take that ball off the toes of Irwan, who looked like he was favourite to it. Kept possession of it as well and then drove into the box.
Naikudin forward again. Lovely little layoff. Naikudin plays it into Saifullah. Saifullah being penned in here. They'll try and win a corner and they'll have to make do with a throw. Aurelio Vidmar, well, he'd have been delighted after 6 minutes. He'll be thinking now that this is the kind of game that, you know, they could easily have control of if they'd just been a bit more disciplined.
Yeah, you just have a look at this good work by Song Yong here initially. Unfortunately, just too much to do in that situation with Shah coming back.
Saifullah to Gabriel Quack on this near side. Gabriel Quack teasing cross. And tell you what, Shazwan just for a minute hesitated, but it worked out okay for him in the end.
Yeah, good quick feet from Shazwan just to readjust.
Just to update you with our partners at Genius Sports, 2 shots on target thus far. Apiece. There's been plenty more efforts on goal than that, though. They've been pinging in left, right and centre at both ends of the field. Yasir. To Baihaki. Yasir. Baihaki.
Well, there was that free man again, as I mentioned. Irwan dropping into those central positions to add numbers. And he actually, as he received it there, he perhaps could have turned, even though it wasn't under pressure. That was a breakthrough ball for him. Could have just turned and opened the pitch up for Tampines. But never mind, he's still in possession. Just looking to recycle it, looking for that opening.
Madu, ambitious ball over the top, looking for Armin, who is chasing. They have to be very careful here. Armin just about muscled out of it, and I think you have to give Naikudin props, but that looked for a minute like it could go badly wrong.
Yeah, well defended by Naikudin. Spots the run early, gets himself into a good position to deal with that. Under pressure.
Oh, Yasir and Nakamura, they each thought the other was going to take it, and now Stipe Plazabac's offside.
Yeah, it looked like the correct call in that situation. Plazabat just going a little bit too early. Tampines doing well to hold their line.
And it goes for another corner. And I tell you what, the way that Yasir Hanapi's delivering these, you wouldn't want to be conceding them at the rate that they are, would you? Because Tampines look like they're more than capable of making use of set pieces against the Lion City Sailors defence that still doesn't appear to have got over some of the defensive frailties that were evident last season. Plenty of chatting going on out on the pitch as well. Business could really pick up here. Gavin Lee's got his arms up, complaining about something.
Just
as Yasir gets ready to take the corner. Another good delivery. And that will be back behind for another corner. Sorry, Roshan, you spotted something.
Oh, no, I was just having a look at Tampines' setup from that corner situation. Yasir taking, putting in those deliveries. We've got Baihaki up against Stipe, Bosniak up against Amirul, and then Irfan Najib, man-to-man marking that situation. I think it's Nakiuddin who's got his number. And then you've got Madu Mohana just creating a little bit of distance between himself and Tajeli.
Well, that's obviously what led to the first goal, right? So, I mean, that's an interesting matchup. You spotted them. And, of course, I'm assuming the Stipe and Baihaki matchup at corners is at both ends of the field as well. So we'll monitor that head-to-head battle. Yasir Hanapi with the outswinger. Heads up, headed away. Nakamura's got work to do here because the Sailors have managed to get goal side momentarily. It might lead to them launching a rapid counter. Stipe Plazabac, more likely seeing him down the left, but he's down the right this time. Madu McIntosh, they've left it behind. Stipe. Well, it opened up for them momentarily. You're chuckling it away. I mean, it's just, you can't take your eyes off it.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, we just had a bit of a lull where we were allowed to catch our breath.
That was the water break. That was the water break. It's non-stop. Baihaki. Here comes Irwan. Nakamura. Heavy touch from Nakamura, which has given Gabriel Quack a look in, but there's no respite in the midfield. The only surprise is so far, I don't think we've seen a yellow card. That's got to be coming shortly. Oh, Armin's had his pocket pinch there. That was lovely work by Saifullah. Stipe dropping back into the number 10 role, and he's found Songoyong and space down the right. Not too many white shirts charging into the area. Stipe prefers to hang around on the edge of the area. And they slowed it right down to Naikudin. Back it goes to Tajeli, and I think maybe the message has got out from Vidmar just to like slow the tempo down a little bit. We're the team that's 2-1 in front here. Get control of this game back that they enjoyed through the first 10 minutes. Naikudin, look how much space he's got down the right. He's got the freedom of Jalan Besar. Cross is a good one. Falls to a white shirt, but they can't control it, and that's belted away. And Yasir Hanapi now. They seem to be alternating into which Tampines players playing that lone frontman role. But when you look at the attacking talent that's on the bench that will surely appear in the second half, Faris Ramli, Boris Gapinovic, Hafiz Noor as well as Tajeli gets in the face of Zayrudin. Jansen Foos over there to calm it down. What happened here, Roshan?
Well, there was a nice one early on where Tajeli just gave Memenovic a bit of notice early on. I think it's Memenovic returning the message, saying, I'm not here to be messed around. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that.
I like the way Tajeli lifted his shorts up like a sumo wrestler.
They're both.
You don't mind it, but you've got to be very careful. When you go head to head like that,
you do.
Thankfully, they're two stand-up individuals. If Tajeli goes into Memenovic and he decides to fall over on the ground and hold his head, referee has got no choice but to send him off, which happens.
Which was great to see. I mean,
Yes.
if you're going to go head-to-head like that, then stand up, behave like men, and that's what they did. They're both looking for a reaction from the other, of course. Thankfully, none of them put their hands up to strike anyone. But that bit of competitiveness, I don't mind seeing it at all.
Well, I promised you it'd be worth the wait, and worth the wait it has been. Offside flag goes up, 6 minutes to half-time in the first half. That has absolutely flown by. Back in possession with Shazwan. Apologies again if you are experiencing some issues with the streaming. Remember, Singtel Star Hub, AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and OnePlay Sports as well. Plenty of options for you to watch this incredible action. And if you are waiting to find out what happens between Albirex and Hougang, that game kicking off in 10 minutes, so you'll be able to watch the second half of that pretty much in its entirety, even if you decide, which you should do, to stick with us. Zayrudin's found a man running through the middle, and that man was Erwin Sharp, and he's now taking his turn to play centre forward. I think they've had 6 different players, the Stags, play centre forward through the first 40 minutes.
Well, I touched on that very early on. Irwan being given that license from starting at left back, yes, but being given that freedom to roam inside and make those late runs from deep, which can be very difficult for defenses to deal with. It was a good opportunity there, really good opening. Just unfortunate that Medovic couldn't quite get the range of the pass quite right.
Look at that run from Gabriel Quack, chest it down, they want handball, and they'll get handball, and he couldn't finish it anyway. Is he going to be booked now for playing on? He is. Well, from all that we've seen in these first 40 minutes, for Gabriel Quack to pick up the first yellow for kicking it away after the whistle had blown. The referee's correct by the letter of the law, but it's completely needless, Roshan.
Well, is he booking him because he's kicked it after the whistle has gone, or is it booking him because of a suspected handball? But it looks like
I think it's
because after
the
the whistle has gone. But
or maybe a combination of the two.
It's a bit harsh for me. I mean, think of that situation. I mean, we've just seen 2 players going forehead to forehead. He's let that one go, and then he's given poor Gabriel, a yellow card in that situation.
Gabriel Quack, already with his first goal of the season after 6 minutes. We'll be running you through the highlights at half-time. Do rejoin us after a very quick break at half-time. Roshan Brai will be giving us his expert analysis, the former SPL player and one of the faces of the AFC's coverage of the AFC Cup and Champions League, which of course is of particular interest to Singapore this season, with the Lion City Sailors and Jalan flying the flag and belting out Majuda Singapura for Singapore in the AFC Cup, and the Stags Champions League bound in the AFC Champions League. Nice one touch from Zayrudin, wants it back, might get this back. He's got Yasser in support in front of him, but Gabriel Quack is back supporting, and look at the space it's opening up in the middle of the field now as they bring it out with Chardin. That's well watched by Irfan. And Irfan's done really well there. He's sold a bill of goods that's been bought, and Irfan's made some space. They'll lead this for Zayrudin Memedovic. Irwan ahead of him. He's also got to his left-hand side the support of Armin. Armin! It opened up for him again. They are standing off them, allowing these long-range shots, and he'd want that one back, Arman, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he certainly would. Again, it's a little bit of a wasted opportunity for Tampines because they've broken really well right through the middle. It's a clever pass from Irfan right into the center of the pitch, and Tampines had numbers in attack there. Just a move that fizzled out in the end. It was a difficult opportunity for Armin Bosniak to try and really hit the target from that position.
Again, the short goal kick routine, working a charm for the Sailors this time as they penetrate into enemy territory. And that was another cards coming out here. Well, Jansen Fu, I think, kept the cards in the pocket for the best part of 40 minutes, has now shown 2 cards in 2 minutes. And that, incidentally, is the amount of stoppage time we'll be playing as the first Stag goes in the book, and it's Shah Shahiran. So Gabriel Quack and Shah on a bit of a tightrope now for the second half. So I'm very impressed they've been able to tell us there's 2 minutes of added time when we've still got 2 minutes of normal time to play. That's another thing that gets me with football nowadays, the lottery of the time added on for stoppages, Roshan.
Well, up to the discretion of the referee. And to be fair, I think that was a good call with that yellow to Shah Shahiran. I mean, he certainly was having a couple of goals at Saifola. But just to touch on Saifola and the game that he's had so far, great on the ball, and with his movement has been very clever as well. His ball usage has been good. But again, that's another example of what I was talking about. You know, it's the technical qualities of these players to receive under pressure and turn away from that pressure, open up the pitch, which we saw there from Saifullah up against Shah Shahiran, causing Shah Shahiran to pretty much have no choice in the end but to give away a free kick and pick up a caution.
Well controlled by Shardan. He finds Gabriel Quack, who always looks a threat down the right. If he cuts inside, they could be in trouble. And he's losing his marker far too easily for me in that situation if you're Gavin Lee. Roshan Wright.
Gabriel's always going to be looking to just try and drift in. Again, he's isolated by Haki. One-on-one here. Just goes in onto his left foot, unbalances the central defender there. Can't quite wrap his left foot around the ball enough to guide it back towards goal. It's a nice idea. He was always going to be looking towards the far post. Just needed that swerve back in, which he didn't quite get.
A reminder, half-time show on the way. Kick-off also moments away, 5 minutes away to kick-off at Jurong East. That game's also live on Singtel Star Hub and the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook and One Play Sports pages across social media and YouTube as well. Albrechts and Howgang in their delayed match. That's a good ball down this left-hand side, looking for Irwan. Irwan, who had a great game here at Jalan Besar in the Charity Shield last year when the Stags got the better of Howgang. I seem to remember Jordan Webb, the now departed Jordan Webb, being red-carded late in that game. Irwan was the star of the show for Tampines that day. That's a terrifying sight. Just out on the top left of your screen there, when you see the kind of players that the Sailors have got warming up as substitutes. Confirmation, as you can see from the fourth officials board that just flashed in shot. 2 minutes of time to be added on. I don't want this first half to end. The only good news is we've got 45 minutes more of it to come. Madu.
It's a great turn by Haki. Clever turn under pressure from Gabriel there.
Armin inside. Zayrud in. Nakamura can hit them. Just wide of the mark.
Just forced to shift it onto his right foot. And that space has opened up for him to have a crack at goal. That ability, again, we're seeing great examples of that ability to outplay in those one-on-ones. And that's what makes a difference for you in terms of hurting an opposition structure and an opposition shape. He's just trying to get them to Aurelio Vidmar there, Patrick.
I think Gavin Lee and Aurelio Vidmar want to get both teams in at half-time. Any thoughts that this would be a cagey, low-scoring, dull and dire start to the season by two potential title contenders have been proved wrong, because these two teams have found space all over the pitch. It's ebbed and flowed in terms of pace from time to time, but by and large, it's been an exhilarating first 45 minutes.
Just flown by. Glad I've got 3 of my 4 goals in my early prediction already on the board.
I tell you
2
what,
all, I said, didn't
I think you might have underestimated, because we still got the potential of Faris Ramley and Boris Kapinovic to come for the Sailors and the Stags respectively. That could be the last chance to make some magic happen in the first 45 minutes. Jansen Foos had a long look at the watch, and the international sign language of the half-time whistle will be blown even before the goalkeeper gets the ball out of his hand. So half-time here at Jalan Besar. The Sailors 2, Stags 1. 2 goals in the first 6 minutes for the Sailors. Sogo Yong and Gabriel Quack. They needed to respond before half-time, the Stags, and they did after being denied what looked a stonewall penalty. It was Madu Bahana, of all people, that got that back into it after a scramble from a set piece. It sets up the second half brilliantly. We'll be back in a couple of moments with the best of the first half action. But for now, half-time at Jalan Besar. Lion City Sailors 2, Tampines Rovers 1.